Good afternoon, and welcome to the 1992 Excellence in Broadcasting Awards. The Excellence in Broadcasting Awards is sponsored by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association to recognize outstanding achievement by Wisconsin radio and television broadcasters. The competition was established to encourage the highest standards of reporting, community service, and production creativity. It brings the ultimate prize, peer recognition, to members of the broadcast industry in Wisconsin. We also wish to take this opportunity to thank the Miller Brewing Company for making this afternoon's program possible. To ensure the broadest participation and recognize the widest range of accomplishments, the WBA Awards Committee has created 11 different award categories for each of 3 market sizes in both radio and television. Today's presentation recognizes the best of Wisconsin radio and television broadcasting in those categories. Our first category is Spot News. In major market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WTMJ AM Milwaukee for Courthouse Stabbing. Frank Richardson, Kevin Fisher, and John Boss, reporters.
It was late morning, March 9th, 1992. Suddenly, excited, out-of-breath transmissions came over the police scanner. Someone had been stabbed in the Milwaukee County Courthouse. Morning anchor Frank Richardson arrived at the scene moments later and surveyed the scene for our radio audience.
The incident happened outside the Family Court Commissioner's office on the 7th floor of the courthouse. The victim reportedly trying to get a restraining order against the man when the suspect appeared with a knife and began stabbing her. A bystander, Eric Geigler.
The lady deputy that was in there, she ran out in the hallway, and he was just walking away down the hallway a little bit, and she told him to stop and lay down, and within a couple of minutes, several other deputies came then, and they started CPR on her.
The suspect was taken into custody on the 7th floor of the county courthouse where the incident occurred. Frank Richardson, News Radio AM 620, WTMJ.
Frank's initial report was immediately followed by managing editor Kevin.
In Spot News, medium market radio, the Best of 1992 is WJVL-FM Janesville for Rock County Tornado. Bob Scheid, reporter. The tape for this winning entry was unavailable at the time of our video production. In Spot News, small market radio, the Best of 1992 is KUWS-FM Superior for Toxic Tuesday Spill. John Munson, Allison Kending, Scotty Ard, and Mike Simonson, reporters.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Simonson. Welcome to a KUWS Radio News special report. The top story of the year is selected by the KUWS Radio News and Public Affairs Department, Toxic Tuesday, Emergency 1992. In the next hour, we'll recap with our actual on-air live reports during that uncertain day that resulted in the largest evacuation from a train derailment in the nation's history. The derailment of 3 Burlington Northern rail tankers off an 80-foot high bridge over the Nemadji River around 3 o'clock that Tuesday morning. June 30th set off a series of events that still is being felt from Superior to Madison to Washington. Unfortunately, this hour-long documentary does not have all of the answers. Rather, this is the story of what has been dubbed Toxic Tuesday so far. Investigations from at least 4 federal agencies and 3 state agencies.
In Spot News, Major Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WISN-TV Milwaukee for Tanker Explosion. Kent Wainscott, Angie Morrissey, and Byron Grandy, reporters, Mike Walsh, and Bob Verniglio, photographers.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled program for this Channel 12 News special report.
Billows of black smoke up above the Marquette interchange. A tanker truck apparently tried to take one of the curves here on the Marquette interchange. Too fast, overshot the curve, flew off of the ramp and into the parking lot below. We don't know at this time at all about any injuries or fatalities. We don't know about anyone who may have been involved in this accident. We can tell you, however, that shortly after the accident, the flames and apparently the fuel from that tanker truck spread not only throughout this parking lot, but into the sewers below. and there were anywhere from 4 to 6 explosions from within the sewers in this area. Those also have stopped at this point. It appears that the danger of the fire at this moment has subsided. Fire crews on the scene able to get the flames out. Again, we don't know at all.
In Spot News, Medium Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WISC TV Madison for KKK Geraldo. John Karcher, writer, Paul Marble, photographer.
I'm involved, and this is what I know about the Klan, and this is the symbol of the Klan as I know it.
200 anti-Klan demonstrators left the courthouse and marched a mile to Cherry Street. Kids on bikes, men, women of color, a variety of ethnic backgrounds and minority groups were out to tell the Klan to take a hike. The Klan and several similar groups were meeting with Ken Peterson, the local KKK organizer. A handful of riot police separated the groups, the KKK armed with shields and clubs, protesters carrying signs. Appeared if either side wanted to, they could have rushed to confrontation, yet it didn't happen. It got ugly as Geraldo in the green shirt finished interviewing Peterson. Our cameraman, Paul Marble, shows Peterson off to the side. Geraldo says he's...
In Spot News, Small Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WAOW TV Wausau for Watoma Tornado, The Killer Storm. By the TV9 news staff, Rick Mall, news director.
Is Newsline 9 at 10.
A killer tornado rips through central Wisconsin, smashing buildings, twisting trees, and shattering the dreams of those in its path.
I've seen things like this on TV, but I just could not believe what I saw this morning when I walked through. I mean, it just looks like somebody had a model train set and just decided to rip it up.
It has been a day that many in Waushara County would like to forget. A killer storm raced across the southern part of that county last night, sparing nothing in its path. The twister plunged from the sky southwest of the community of Watoma. It continued its path of destruction for more than 20 miles. The half-mile-wide twister left little untouched. First tonight, the facts. 2 people were killed in the storm. Officials say at least 30 people were injured, 3 critically. More than a third of the residents in the storm's path remain without electricity tonight, and initial estimates have damage topping 5.
Our second category is Hard News Story. In Major Market Radio, our Best of 1992 Hard News Story award goes to WTMJ AM Milwaukee for Abortion Protests, produced and reported by the WTMJ News team.
The summer of 1992 in Milwaukee will be remembered in part for the massive anti-abortion protests. It was scheduled to last just 6 weeks. But as the weeks went by, it was evident the pro-life movement was gaining steam, and even though some of the out-of-town demonstrators left the city after a couple of weeks, local churches kept the movement alive, organizing hundreds of pro-life supporters who attempted to block entrances to the city's abortion clinics. For the purposes of this contest entry, we've chosen to concentrate on the first 2 weeks of the protests. WTMJ was the only Milwaukee radio station to keep 2 full-time reporters on the story. One covered the pro-life side, while the other concentrated on the pro-choice forces. The reporters alternated sides to make sure there was no appearance of bias. We begin with initial word of the impending protests, presentations by police and the district attorney's office as to what they intend to do about the protests, then live coverage of the first day of the demonstration.
In Hard News, Medium Market Radio, the Best of 1992 is KFIZ AM Fond du Lac for Shootout. Greg Stensland, reporter.
A 13-year-old Fond du Lac boy is dead, and a Fond du Lac man was critically injured following a hostage situation and shootout with police on Fond du Lac's south side. The nightmare standoff started shortly after 10 last night and ended nearly 3.5 hours later. Police say 21-year-old Wayne Hudgens broke into a neighbor's home on South Mar Street near Gwindon Boulevard, where he held a 13-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl hostage. The children's mother was not home at the time. Police say after killing the boy and sexually assaulting the girl, Hudgens walked out of the house brandishing a shotgun. Police say Hudgens threatened to kill himself on several occasions and then started running toward police officers. At that point, police made their move, first sending in a police dog, followed by gunfire.
In hard news, small market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to KUWS-FM Superior for Toxic Tuesday's spill. John Munson, Allison Kending, Scotty Ard, and Mike Simonson, reporters.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Simonson. Welcome to a KUWS Radio News special report. The top story of the year is selected by the KUWS Radio News and Public Affairs Department, Toxic Tuesday, Emergency 1992. In the next hour, we'll recap with our actual on-air live reports during that uncertain day that resulted in the largest evacuation from a train derailment in the nation's history. The derailment of 3 Burlington Northern rail tankers off an 80-foot-high bridge over the Nemadji River around 3 o'clock that Tuesday morning. June 30th set off a series of events that still is being felt from Superior to Madison to Washington. Unfortunately, this hour-long documentary does not have all of the answers. Rather, this is the story of what has been dubbed Toxic Tuesday so far. Investigations from at least 4 federal agencies and 3 state agencies continue even.
In hard news story, Major Market TV, the Best of 1992 is WITI-TV Milwaukee for Dahmer Trial by the TV6 News team, Mark Zaromsky, Planning Director.
Jeffrey Dahmer drank blood, tried to rob a grave, and identified with the devil.
The trial of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. It was compelling. It was repulsive. And in Milwaukee, where Dahmer's crimes tore a community apart, it was very important. All Milwaukee stations covered the continuing story of the trial, but one station stood apart in its coverage. WITI TV6 News actually set up 2 news-gathering operations to cover the trial. One team covered the story for the station's newscasts. The second TV6 team, in an unprecedented marriage, produced live, gavel-to-gavel coverage on independent Channel 58, WDJT in Milwaukee. Logistically, this double workload was a nightmare, but journalistically, it was a dream. We could cover a complex trial in depth to explain the legal system to a community in need of healing. Most of the Jeffrey Dahmer victims were black. Most were gay. Many who cared about them.
In hard news story, Medium Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WISC-TV Madison for Crack Fighters. Joel Despain, reporter, Bill Roach, photographer.
This past week, officers of the federally funded Weed and Seed Task Force took our Joel Despain undercover with them. Joel joins us now from what was his roving vantage point. Joel, explain to us how you were able to videotape these covert operations.
Well, Katie, this was our base of operations. I was wearing an old hat and sunglasses. It was my job to drive in and out of Madison's crack markets. Photographer Bill Roach was set up in the back of the van underneath a blanket and recorded the specially trained officers on their tour of duty.
Let's do it.
Oh, there you go.
How are you?
Like that. The warning signs of a year ago are gone.
Let's do it.
This is the reality of a city trying to hold its own against an expanding crack cocaine market.
Got about 20 people that are going to be working this tonight. Some of you will be plain clothes. Some of you will be in uniform.
Once you see it, put it against your
Tonight, the specially trained Neighborhood Intervention Task Force is adopting a new strategy. They're going to compete for the drug dealer's turf.
The next 3 nights, we're going to concentrate on the customers.
In hard news stories, Small Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WXOW-TV La Crosse for Presidential Politics. Gillian Kirk, producer, Michael Grawells and Dave Verhasset, reporters, Kevin Millard, photojournalist.
President George Bush gets a warm welcome in La Crosse today despite the cold, rainy weather. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jillian Kirk. Our top story, hundreds of people from all over western Wisconsin braved the chilly weather to get a glimpse of President Bush today. As you know, Bush stayed overnight in La Crosse yesterday after a day-long whistle-stop train tour through Wisconsin. In just a moment, we'll bring you highlights from that trip and a one-on-one exclusive interview with the president. But first, News 19's Linda Lloyd has details from the president's brief stay in La Crosse.
As President Bush stepped off a Marine helicopter in La Crosse last night, dozens of people greeted him with cheers of support. This morning, Bush made his way to the Republican Party headquarters for a special appearance.
Our third category is mini documentary or series. In major market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to Wisconsin Public Radio Madison for juvenile violence. Steve Busalaki, producer, and reporters Steve Busalaki, Perry Irwin, Connie Walker, Chuck Quirmbach, and Mary Jo Wagner.
The violent crimes being committed today by Wisconsin juveniles are so outrageous it's hard to believe they've happened at all. A 16-year-old Milwaukee boy is accused of murdering his friend for $120 athletic shoes. A Madison High School student shoots a fellow student over a marijuana dispute. And a 13-year-old Forest County girl spikes her science teacher's coffee with hydrochloric acid. These incidents are part of a terrifying national trend which has police, parents, and school officials scrambling for answers. In this opening report in our 5-part series on youth violence, Steve Busalaki looks at the all-too-typical problems facing one school system today.
Madison is now beginning to experience the big city violence Milwaukee schools have known for years. It's become so serious that, like Milwaukee, police may soon patrol schools like Memorial High, where the January 30th shooting took place. This 15-year-old girl, who prefers to remain anonymous, is a freshman there.
At first it was kind of cool, you know, like, no way, right? But now it's kind of like scary.
In mini documentary or series medium market radio, the Best of 1992 is WAYY AM Eau Claire for When the Rubber Hits the Road, Life After Uniroyal. Deb Engibus, reporter.
I truthfully can say Uniroyal has given me a good living.
You had your same system every day, and you punch your clock, and you got paid on Friday, and you got your insurance, and you didn't have much to worry about, you know. But now it's all changed.
I'm Deb Engibus. Join me this week at 7:40 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 5:05 p.m. for a 5-part series, When the Rubber Hits the Road, Life After Uniroyal, here on WAYY.
One of Eau Claire's largest employers leaves town for good next week. The Uniroyal Goodrich plant will soon be gutted of machinery which once produced 28,000 tires a day. It will stand, but the workers inside will start new lives. Today, Deb Engibus begins the first of a 5-part series, When the Rubber Hits the Road, Life After Uniroyal.
January 8th, 1991. Then Eau Claire plant manager John Annefeld tells reporters that the rumors are true. The plant is closing.
The initial phase of closing will occur.
In mini documentary or series small market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WTCH AM Shawano for Education Making the Grade. Doug Erdman, reporter.
This is American Education Week, and not only the state of Wisconsin is recognizing the achievements brought forth by our teachers, but by our students as well. All this week, we will take a look at different angles of education, ranging from growth to our educational system. Today, we talk to United States Senator Herb Kohl and find out what is being done to help our system in the United States.
So there's a lot of work that's going to be done if we really have, and I'm sure we do, but if we really have a commitment to our kids and our future, we need to recognize that working with these kids and and giving them the time and attention and love and care that they must have and deserve is a prime requirement in this country, and it's something that we must devote our attention to, and I believe we will, because I think we really, all of us do care about the future of our country.
United States Senator Herb Kohl. Tomorrow we talk with the State of Wisconsin Superintendent of Education, Dr. Bert Grover.
In mini documentary or series Major Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WTMJ TV Milwaukee for Nuclear Waste. Tim Blotz, reporter, editor, Dave Malm, photojournalist.
We've been living in a nuclear age for more than 40 years.
And during that time, we still haven't found a way to deal with the problem of nuclear waste. Each year, nuclear plants here and across the country generate waste that will remain radioactive for thousands of years. So where are we going to put it? Night Team reporter Tim Blott says you may be surprised. Radiation is a scary thing for a lot of people.
This waste is highly poisonous.
They've got to do something with that waste.
There are a number of utilities throughout the nation who face a similar problem.
That problem is what to do with spent nuclear fuel, the same fuel which is piling up inside this storage pool at the Point Beach Nuclear Power Plant.
How much longer before this pool is full? The pool will be full in mid-1995.
In fact, time is running out at all the nuclear power plants in and around Wisconsin. The storage pool at the...
In mini-documentary or series Medium Market TV, the best of 1992 is WBAY TV Green Bay for No Keys Required. Laureen Wagner, reporter, Dwayne Grove, photographer.
In a special investigative series, Laureen Wagner found out that sometimes no keys are required.
That's right, Tom. We wanted to find out how much identification locksmiths asked for when they opened up cars, homes, and businesses. Now, our intentions were not to pick on them, but to find out if they take proper precautions. We quickly discovered most locksmiths would open just about any car for anyone. All it takes is a phone call and a couple of dollars.
I need some help. Do you unlock cars? Yes, we do.
The scene, a shopping mall parking lot. Mary Rogas, our executive producer, posed as a stranded shopper, locked out with nowhere to go. It's not her car, but with the owner's permission, she says it is.
Hi.
Within minutes, the locksmith, an ex-cop who wished not to be identified, lets her into the car.
Thank you.
He leaves without asking for any identification. All he knows is her first name. Was this a fluke? We wanted to find out.
In mini-documentary or series Small Market TV, the best of 1992 is WAOW TV Wausau for Don't Tell a Soul. Melissa Langben, producer, reporter.
What he did to me was wrong.
I think a lot of it is the church's fault too, because they kept hiding it and covering it up.
He had to be put away, he had to be stopped. And the only way to do it is to come forward.
It's something that you can't imagine ever happening, a priest sexually molesting a child. But it happened here in Colby, Wisconsin. This boy we'll call Bobby became an altar boy at St. Mary's Catholic Church. He met with Father Bruce Ball for counseling sessions, and the two talked about sex education.
And then when he was teaching me about that stuff, that's when he was touching me and all, touching me and abusing me.
Bruce Ball pleaded no contest to the charges and is now serving a 5-year prison term.
Our fourth category is feature-length documentary. In Major Market Radio, the Best of 1992 Feature-Length Documentary Award goes to WYMS-FM Milwaukee for Secret Clubhouse Special, O Canada. Peter Zarin and Gary Nosacek, producers, Ken Keene, editor.
I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? I can open your eyes.
This year, Kids in Canada and Kids in America were part of an international educational partnership that allowed kids from one country to teach kids in another about their homeland. This exchange was conducted by a visit from the children's radio show Secret Clubhouse to St. Catherine's School in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, followed by a visit from Canadian schoolteacher Adriana Morella-Wolf to the Secret Clubhouse in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and students in Milwaukee Public Schools. This special edition of Secret...
In feature-length documentary Medium Market Radio, The best of 1992 is WDUZ AM Green Bay for Spring in the Wetlands. Rick Kohler, reporter.
It has not been a nice spring for humans. Instead of the warm, sunny weather we all crave after a long winter, it's been cold, cloudy, wet, more like March instead of April. Tuesday of this past week was no different. The sky hung low like dirty curtains ready to tumble from their rods. The wind from the east had a wet bite. Though the weather's uncomfortable for humans, it is spring for wildlife. One area place teeming with wildlife is the Outagamie County Preserve just north of Shiocton along the...
In the category feature-length documentary Small Market Radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to KUWS-FM Superior for Silence of the Minds, Alzheimer's Disease. Written and produced by Mike Simonson.
Good evening. This is a radio special presentation, a documentary. The KUWS Radio News Department presents Silence of the Minds, Alzheimer's in the Northland, with Wisconsin Public Radio Superior Bureau Correspondent Mike Simonson. It's an in-depth look at the people who deal with and live with the degenerative disease of Alzheimer's. Now, Silence of the Minds on KUWS Radio.
You usually see a couple in their 80s. They've probably been married for 40, 50, 60 years. And a lot of times you're going to find out that this has been going on for probably the last 5 years. And it's to the point now that they just cannot handle it.
I was a carpenter for quite a few years. I worked for a lumber company, and
in feature-length documentary Major Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WITI-TV Milwaukee for Clinton Bush by the TV6 News Team, Jill Geisler, News Director.
Live from Milwaukee, Election 92, the Wisconsin votes.
Hi.
Hello.
Good to see you again.
Hi. Thank you.
Hello, we'd like to welcome everyone, the TV6 viewers here in southeastern Wisconsin, viewers in Green Bay who are watching WBAY, viewers in Madison who are watching WMTV. Thanks all for joining us for this special 2-hour live program. This has been an extraordinary political year in Wisconsin, and it's continuing to be an extraordinary political year. Voters have had many opportunities to see the candidates, and tonight, another extraordinary opportunity. TV6 brings you an opportunity to see both of the candidates for president. First of all, in our studio, Governor Bill Clinton, the Democratic nominee for president. Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton.
Okay, go.
In feature-length documentary Medium Market TV, the Best of 1992 is WHA-TV Madison for USS Wisconsin, The Last Battleship. Mark Weller, producer. Dave Iverson, executive producer.
It is an inanimate object, this collection of steel plates and rivets, the end result of a set of blueprints. Yet this ship invokes the strongest of human reactions, a reverence unknown to the casual observer.
The silhouette is so majestic and the ship is so ominous in its beauty that there's an emotionalism to it.
It's just almost $1 for a man to love a piece of metal like I love this ship.
The Battleship Wisconsin, the last of her breed, a relic of World War II. Yet some 40 years later, her crew is quick to distinguish themselves from other, more contemporary vessels.
They never say, I'm off the USS Wisconsin. You'll always hear our sailors say, well, I'm off the Battleship Wisconsin.
In feature-length documentary Small Market TV, the best of 1992 is WAOW TV Wausau for Badger State Winter Games. Jim Sosha, producer.
This is the Badger State Winter Games 1992 special with your host, Jim Sosha.
The road to the Badger State Winter Games started in Madison, with Governor Tommy Thompson driving the first block of a 2-week 40-city torch run. Snow was scarce at the capital, but not in central Wisconsin. Perfect conditions greeted a record number of competitors who came to the Wausau area anxious to test their skills in an Olympic-style event. When they debuted in 1989, the games were held entirely in Wausau, but they've been expanding ever since.
Our fifth category is feature. In major market radio, the Best of 1992 Feature Award goes to WISN AM Milwaukee for Holiday Eviction. Tony Perkins, reporter.
I'm Jay Weber, WISN News. On January 20th, WISN Radio ran a feature on the men and women in Milwaukee County whose job it is to evict people from their homes. Milwaukee County Sheriff's deputies do the dirty work for landlords that have lodged complaints against delinquent tenants. Our Tony Perkins went along with an eviction crew one cold day in January.
I'm Tony Perkins, News Talk 1130. At least 10 times a day, practically every day of the year.
It's the Milwaukee County Sheriff Eviction Squad.
Oh. Milwaukee County Sheriff's detectives move another tenant out, someone else who's failed or been unable to pay rent. And along with the detectives, there's a moving crew. They show up with a truck and with boxes, and with orders to crate up everything in sight and take it out the door, usually while the tenant argues the case.
I didn't get no letter, no Jerry didn't tell me nothing.
He went to court on November 22nd.
Right.
In the feature category, medium market radio, the Best of 1992 is WAYY AM Eau Claire for Small Town Football Friday Nights. Chuck Freeman, reporter.
One grocery store, one restaurant, and one gas station. And on fall Friday nights, there's only one thing going on. Elk Mound, Wisconsin, a rural community in northwestern Wisconsin. It lives, it breathes, and it breeds high school football. On football Friday nights, it's small-town atmosphere at its finest.
One thing about small-town football is, and if I could summarize it in just one sentence, it's the only show in town. And when you're winning and you have a successful program, people really jump on the bandwagon. And we've had great fan support, great school support. The morale in the school is outstanding.
It's a lot of community support. This is the main attraction.
The hometown atmosphere, the togetherness that you see in a small community. I would never live in a big city. They just don't know what they're missing.
It's the fact, I think, that you know all the kids and know them so well. And you just get involved. You get involved in the spirit.
In feature, small market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WMRH AM Waupun for Family Meets Tornado. Neil Allen, reporter.
A Dodge County man never in his wildest dreams thought he would see what he saw when he left for vacation earlier this month. On Sunday, July 19th, the entire WMRH listening area was under a thunderstorm watch, and Dane County was under a tornado watch. But luckily, no bad weather was reported, except for some small hail in the Waterloo area. But Peter Marks of Horicon, who was with his family vacationing in Canada, did see severe weather. Marks told WMRH News that he, along with his 2 kids, his girlfriend, and his mother, were driving near Gladstone, Michigan, heading for Door County from Canada, and all of a sudden, from nowhere, a tornado dropped down right in front of them. Peter explains what he saw through his camcorder.
Well, originally, the idea was to get pictures of lightning. I had the video camera out, and we had just gone through a very heavy thunderstorm, and as we approached the edge of it, we thought we were coming out of it, and we saw a very dark, strange-looking cloud, and we focused on that cloud.
In the feature category, Major Market TV, the best of 1992 is WITI-TV Milwaukee for Blind Toymaker, Boyd Huppert, reporter, Jim Wilson, photojournalist.
Of all the tools a toymaker has to work with, Warren Malik possesses the most important, the ability to see the world through a child's eyes.
I get done with one of these babies, you have to take it for a test flight.
Never mind that Malik is nearly blind.
I would rather make toys for children who really need them than to do anything else in this whole world.
Malik's passion for toy making was born 5 years ago out of a deep depression after a degenerative disease had taken his eyesight, his job, and his will to live.
When your eyesight goes, you feel a definite loss. It is just like a death in the family.
In feature, Medium Market TV, the best of 1992 is WLUK-TV Green Bay for The Courting Flute. Jack Jones, reporter, Tim Flanagan, photographer.
It is a sound that is both beautiful and haunting. Its origin dates back to the beginning of Native American civilization. It is the American Indian courting flute. However, until Lewis Webster, a man of Menominee, Oneida, and Ojibwe Indian descent, began building and playing the instrument some 20 years ago, it was almost lost to the ages.
From that time, the courting flute was almost extinct in this area here in the Midwest. When I heard it, I just immediately fell in love with it.
On this day, we found Lewis at the Oneida Nation Museum, expertly fashioning flutes from cedar and redwood. It is this attention to detail and tradition that is attracting.
In feature, Small Market TV, the best of 1992 is WXOW-TV La Crosse for Archie Sokolik, Dale Soley, producer, reporter.
Getting the holes in and...
When Archie Sokolik retired a few years back, he wasn't looking for something to do. In fact, he was pretty busy. You see, this former machinist and toolmaker has a hobby. He spins yarn. And although he's been known to tell a story or two, I'm not talking about spinning yarns, but spinning yarn. Really.
Well, they used to use them quite a bit.
He's talking about something he built. It's called a walking wheel. Kind of a funny name, but it makes a lot of sense.
Because when you're spinning, you're usually walking to and from the spindle.
He just picks up some wool, attaches it to the spindle, and turns the wheel. As it turns, the spindle pulls and twists the wool, resulting in yarn.
This is where the expertise comes in, is keeping it even. One of these days, I'll be able to do it.
There are all kinds of things you can make with a wheel like Archie's. A vest, for example, even a sweater. This one's called clock.
Our sixth category is effective use of the medium. In Major Market Radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WUWM-FM Milwaukee for Land O'Lakes Baseball. Bob Bach, producer.
Well, we'll go right around. The morning sun has already burned off the dew from the outfield grass as a couple of workers do chores in a relaxed fashion. They're getting Jakes Field and Lannon ready for today's game versus North Lake. One drags the infield with a screen chained to a tractor. Another chalks in baselines. The question of why Norm Becker spends his time at the field doesn't fluster the old-timer. He takes a moment to push a plug of tobacco from one side of his mouth to the other, then pulls up an answer from his heart.
I've been living here, for close to 40 years, and I used to play ball with Lan and myself for about a dozen years. And baseball is part of my way of life.
There are about 36 teams in the Land O'Lakes, a sandlot league of towns within 50 miles of Milwaukee that attracts players from a variety of baseball backgrounds, including former pros.
In effective use of the medium market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WAXX-FM Eau Claire for When the Rubber Hits the Road, Life After Uniroyal, Deb Engibus, producer.
January 8th, 1991. Then Eau Claire plant manager John Annefelt tells reporters that the rumors are true. The plant is closing.
The initial phase of closing will occur in July of 1991, and radio production will be ceased, affecting approximately 500 to 600 of our employees. The manufacturing of bias tires, which includes mini-spare tires, will be phased out in mid-1992, and the Eau Claire facility will be closed.
Annefelt said there were too many tires on the market, and Uniroyal Goodrich had excess radial tires it couldn't sell. Eau Claire County Board Chair Cliff Chatterson was 16 when he started building inner tubes here at the plant in 1931. Over the next 39 years, Chatterson rose up within the company. He held various positions, including Eau Claire plant manager. He says he convinced company officials at least 8 times not to close the Eau Claire plant. But after his retirement in 1979, things changed, including a company buyout by Michelin.
Nobody took the leadership in keeping this place running here.
In effective use of the medium small market radio, the Best of 1992 is WRLO-FM Antigo for Giving Thanks. Jim Grieve, reporter.
Antigo's first ever community Thanksgiving dinner yesterday at the United Methodist Church, with turkey and all the trimmings for the appetite and music to warm the heart. Nearly 70 people enjoyed the dinner, people who would otherwise have been alone or unable to afford such a meal. Volunteers delivered another 80 meals to shut-ins. Sharon Corsi of Antigo organized the dinner.
There were just so many people that volunteered. It just made the job so much easier.
Margaret McMullen of Antigo was one of those volunteers, and she says yesterday may have been the best Thanksgiving she's ever had.
I'm sure there were a lot more smiles today down here than there would have been at home.
Pastor Gene Krieger of Faith United Church of Christ also helped out.
And in a sense, the feast reminds us of the days when we didn't have as much. We're thankful. A lot of people came probably that have somewhat empty homes.
And organizers say they're already looking forward to next year's Community Thanksgiving dinner.
In effective use of the medium major market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WTMJ-TV Milwaukee for Mega Mall. Nancy Chandler, reporter. Steve Betcher, photojournalist and editor.
Every chance I get, I shop here. We'll have a good time.
Everybody in the world comes to this mall. There's a lot to do here. You can kill a day here very easily.
If you can't find it at Mall of America, they probably don't make it.
It's so huge. It's so huge. It's so huge.
You can say that again. Nearly 400 stores and a 7-acre theme park. This mega mall is 4.2 million square feet, the largest shopping and entertainment complex under one roof in the entire country.
In no time at all, you realize there are 2 things you have to shop at Mall of America. The first is, of course, your wallet. And the second most important thing is a comfortable pair of shoes. That's because there are 3 floors and nearly 400 stores here. It's a challenge just to shop along one corridor.
In effective use of the medium market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WHA-TV Madison for Confronting Violence. Joanne Garrett, producer. Nolan Lehman, director. Mike Eicher, principal videographer, editor.
It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and a new victim lies dead on West Billard.
Still looking for a man who fired a gun into a school bus, narrowly missing an 11-year-old girl.
Last year, 25,000 Americans.
In effective use of the medium small market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WXOW-TV La Crosse for A View from Above. Michael Grawell's reporter, Kevin Millard, photographer.
It'll take us 45 minutes, but we'll take our time and do everything right. What you see is wicker, but hidden is an aviation aluminum frame structure. Let's drag it around the front. Hello, I am.
Okay, you can let us go.
Our seventh category is editorial. In major market radio, the Best of 1992 editorial award goes to WISN AM Milwaukee for Norquist's Breakfast Club, written and presented by Mark Belling.
Standing up for Milwaukee, I'm Mark Belling. The most expensive breakfast in town this morning is being served at the Mark Plaza. Normally a place where you can get good food at reasonable prices. But this morning, a bunch of important people are eating breakfast there for $100 a plate. You see, it's another fundraiser for Mayor Norquist. That's right, today, Inauguration Day for the mayor, he is still fundraising, still raising money. And you can bet this baby will be well attended. High-level city employees, city department head wannabes, companies that do business with the city, and companies that do business with the city wannabes will all be anteing up another $100. It's the ultimate city power breakfast. Anybody who is anybody or wants to be somebody in the city will be there. Except me. I prefer cornflakes for a quarter in my kitchen. But the fact that a politician can command this kind of money...
In editorial medium market radio, the Best of 1992 is WSAU AM Wausau for Property Tax Referendum. David Armstrong, writer, producer.
When you step into that voting booth next Tuesday, you'll have a lot of choices to make, including a referendum question, which we would describe as the smoke and mirror property tax relief proposition. It's smoke and mirror legislation because it simply shifts the tax to somewhere or someone else. The writers of this referendum question have conveniently crafted the wording to make you think that this is the cure-all for bringing property taxes down. Let's be honest, friends. The only way to bring property taxes down is by cutting wasteful spending by government, not by dumping the tax bucket on your neighbor. Voting in favor of this referendum is like an ongoing game of Russian roulette with a loaded gun. You may draw the empty chamber the first time around, but the bullet is in there somewhere, and it's just a matter of time before it gets you. Don't let our legislators have a mandate for increased spending. When you get in that booth next Tuesday, send a clear message to Madison. No more wolves in sheep's clothing.
In editorial small market radio, the Best of 1992 is WERL AM Eagle River for Milwaukee Brewers baseball, truly a treasure. Written and presented by Roger Utnamer, President and General Manager.
Public funding for a new Brewer ballpark in Milwaukee may not be the nonsense some of us may have thought it is. The Brewers are truly a treasure. The team's economic impact extends far beyond Milwaukee County, and the psychic value of Wisconsin having a Major League Baseball team cannot be measured in mill rates and tax brackets alone. The challenge for proponents of professional baseball in Milwaukee is packaging. The private sector has a major responsibility for keeping baseball in Milwaukee, but the state of Wisconsin cannot abdicate its responsibility to participate in a prudent package that protects the public from losing a team. If there is any advice for members of the state legislature regarding a package of state and private support for a new stadium, it is simply this: participate prudently. That's my opinion. I'd like to hear yours.
In editorial Major Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WITI-TV Milwaukee for Quail on Murphy, written by Jill Geisler, news director, and presented by Andy Potos, president and general manager.
Vice President Dan Quayle has often been accused of not being the brightest man in the world. This week he proved it. Quayle's intrepid investigation of the Los Angeles riots led him to lay the blame at the feet of unwed mothers, especially television's Murphy Brown. Now hold on a minute. It's no secret that citizens and community leaders alike are concerned about preserving families and family values. But the Vice President conveniently and cruelly left a few things out of his message. Let us fill the blanks. It wasn't Murphy Brown who cut back on federal help to the nation's cities. It wasn't Murphy Brown who failed to provide decent-paying jobs. Murphy Brown didn't perpetuate a system that punishes the poor by taking away their health benefits if they are lucky enough to land jobs. It wasn't Murphy Brown who ignored Housing Secretary Jack Kemp's pleas and plans for decent housing for the poor. Remember, Murphy Brown is a fictional character with a good education, a great job, a gorgeous home.
In editorial Medium Market TV, the Best of 1992 is WISC-TV Madison for Regents. Neil Heinen, editorial director.
This is a WISC editorial with editorial director Neil Heinen.
The UW Board of Regents should really think about moving its monthly meeting out of the boardroom on the 18th floor of Van Hise. The air's too thin. Here's what I heard at last week's meeting. Jamie Wall from the Wisconsin Student Association had just finished telling the board that students were getting pinched. Higher tuition on one end, lower financial aid on the other. Regent Ab Nicholas had a question. How many students on campus have cars? It's just a guess, says Wall, but I'd say 1 in 10. Regent Adolph Gunderson was next. How many students smoke? Well, I don't know, says Wall, and I'm not sure I understand the relevance. Gunderson shot back $2 a pack. Hey, Regents, time for a reality check. To suggest that students can absorb hundreds of dollars in tuition hikes if they just give up their cars or their cigarettes is foolish and arrogant. I wasn't there when Regent Budzinski blamed the tuition hike on the, quote, stinking people of Wisconsin, but I'd say all three could use a break from the rarefied air they're used to. Maybe meet down on the ground floor, closer to the real work.
Our eighth category is Community Affairs activity. In Major Market Radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WOLX-FM Madison for Ronald McDonald House of Madison series. Angie Harris and Bill Phillips, writers, and Larry Seifert and Julie Kennedy, producers.
The Ronald McDonald House of Madison will soon be a reality, but funds are still needed. Join us May 2nd for the Ronald McDonald House WOLX Rock and Roll Tour as we collect donations for this worthwhile cause. Look and listen for Wisconsin's largest rolling oldies machine, Red Thunder, from Budweiser and WOLX at the Farmers Market on the Capitol Square beginning at 7:30. You can catch the tour at McDonald's on Odana Road at 10:30 and at 1:30 at Cub Foods East. Help the Ronald McDonald House grow with your donation and we'll give you something you can grow yourself. A tree seedling, compliments of Consolidated Papers Incorporated. Let's watch them grow together. It's the Ronald McDonald House WOLX Rock and Roll Tour tomorrow. Listen for more details from Madison's Oldies FM, Oldies 94.9 FM, WOLX.
In Community Affairs activity, Medium Market Radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WSPO-WSPT Stevens Point for their annual holiday activity, Christmas is for Kids. This unique community affairs activity is featured on both their AM and FM stations. Once each hour on each station during a 2-week period in early December, listeners are invited to sponsor a child's Christmas wish. Children who otherwise would not have had any presents were identified by community service organizations, and a wide variety of listeners, from grade school children to department stores, called to help make Christmas '92 a memorable one for those children. Nearly 700 Stevens Point area children enjoyed special Christmas gifts in 1992 because of WSPO and WSPT's Community Affairs activity, Christmas is for Children. In Community Affairs activity, Small Market Radio, the Best of 1992 is WCOW-FM Sparta for their impromptu 1992 Christmas Gifts for Needy Children activity, The Drive to Dyersville. On December 22nd, WCOW's news department learned that police officers in neighboring La Crosse were spending the day delivering Christmas presents to needy children in conjunction with a La Crosse radio station community affairs activity, but that they were about 100 children short of filling their requests. Using a contact they have with the Ertl Toy Company in Dyersville, Iowa, WCOW was able to arrange for $1,500 worth of toys to help out. Unable to make their effort mesh with La Crosse's at the last minute, WCOW set about creating their own last-minute Christmas toys delivery. On December 23rd, news reporter Rick Jensen drove to Dyersville, Iowa, along with a Monroe County Sheriff's deputy making regular remote reports along the way. When they returned with the toys, uniformed Sheriff's Department deputies were able to deliver toys to nearly 250 children, courtesy of lists developed by the Sheriff's Department, the County Human Services Department, and listener call-in tips. WCOW is now preparing to make the Drive to Dyersville an annual Christmas event for the children in their Monroe County audience. In Community Affairs activity Major Market TV, the best of 1992 is WISN TV Milwaukee for Food for Families. Kip Christine, videographer, Patrick Baldwin, Director of Community Affairs.
15 years ago, Channel 12 asked you to donate food for families for the first time.
For 15 years, Channel 12 has worked to end hunger in southeastern Wisconsin. Our aim has been to educate and motivate.
This year, we can make a difference in the lives of thousands of people in our area who look to the food pantries each month for help. Donate Food for Families today.
Food for Families.
For 15 years, we've been making a difference to people in need. But sadly, there are more hungry people than ever.
There are approximately 38,000 people that are coming to pantries in Milwaukee County each month of the year. And sadly, 25,000 of those people are children.
Because of the economy, unemployment, layoffs, and cuts in government programs, the numbers of hungry people have grown 167% over the last 8 years. This year, the Hunger Task Force, the beneficiary of our food and fundraising, asked us to redouble our...
In Community Affairs activity Medium Market TV, the best of 1992 is WISC TV Madison for Time for Kids, Jane Riley, Public Service Director.
Michael Jordan, Madonna, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Magic Johnson.
Let's go.
To many of us, they're heroes. We admire their talent, their success, their money. But what do we really know about who they are? Are they heroes? Maybe real heroes aren't bigger than life. Maybe they're right here, on your street, in your school, maybe even in your house. Real people you can really look up to. I'm News 3's Katie Tsai. In the next half hour, we'll meet some of these people and learn why we all need a real-life hero.
In Community Affairs activities Small Market TV, the best of 1992 is WQOW-TV Eau Claire for Camper's Notebook Campaign. Ron Johnson, producer, editor. Jim Zahn's talent.
Hi, this is Jim Zahns, inviting you to join me for Camper's Notebook right here on TV 18. Each week, we'll take a look at a different state park in Wisconsin's Indian Head Country, right here on TV 18. Hi, this is Jim Zahns, inviting you to join me for Camper's Notebook right here on TV 18. Each week, we'll take a look at a different state park in Wisconsin's Indian Head Country, including Interstate State Park on the Minnesota-Wisconsin border, Pattison State Park in northwestern Wisconsin, and many more. So grab your hiking gear and gas up your RV and join me for Camper's Notebook right here on TV 18.
Our ninth category is public service announcement. In Major Market Radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WOLX-FM Madison for Waushara tornado relief. Dave Duncan and Bill Phillips, writers. Ted Houston, producer.
Saturday, August 29th, 1992. Tornado warnings are issued for the Wautoma area. In the hours that followed, 3 townships surrounding Wautoma were hit hard with a devastating tornado, causing death and millions of dollars in damage. Waushara County authorities tell WOLX that the cleanup is going smoothly. They've been overwhelmed by the outpouring of support, such as food and clothing, but now what they really need are cash donations. As the cleanup continues, there's also a need for building materials such as sheet plastic, plywood, and chipboard for boarding up buildings. If you can help, send your donation to Disaster Relief Fund, care of Union State Bank, Wautoma, 54982. We'll let you know how else you can help in the weeks to come. If you have any questions, call us at 281-1949 or on our toll-free line anywhere in Wisconsin at 1-800-388-9659. 1-800-388-WOLX.
In public service announcement Medium Market Radio, the Best of 1992 is WIFC-FM Wausau for Volunteer Center Great Mystic. Beth Pitzer, writer. Duff Damos, producer. And Beth Pitzer, Duff Damos, and Bill Mitchell, talent.
The Great Mystic told all, and in a time when there weren't many heroes, many came for answers.
Yes, my dear, there are still heroes. You could become one too.
How could I possibly make a difference?
There's now a quest for people aged 12 through 18 to help with the summer entertainment series on the pedestrian mall.
You mean helping visitors set up food and clean up?
Yes, and unselfish acts are rewarded. I see free t-shirts, lunch, and a way to beef up job applications. Become a volunteer youth ambassador. Call 843-1220 for details.
But I thought you knew all.
Don't argue with me, kid.
In public service announcement Major Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WISN-TV Milwaukee for Family Works Image. Jill Bishop, Assistant Director of Community Affairs, and Patrick Baldwin, Director of Community Affairs.
My parents were just full of advice. They told me to take something I had and make something out of it, and if I didn't have it, go out and get it. It seemed old-fashioned even back then, but I guess some of it stuck. Because Elaine and I find ourselves passing some of the good things we learned growing up to our kids, like taking something within you, becoming proud of it, and doing something with it. Who knows, maybe one day they'll be passing on some of our good old-fashioned advice to their kids.
In public service announcement Medium Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WISC-TV Madison for Getting Into Books. Jane Riley, producer-writer. Bill Bailey, director-editor. Jerry Reef, photographer.
Getting into books is very cool.
WISC TV3, watching out for you.
In public service announcement Small Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WQOW-TV for the American Cancer Society's Halloween River Run. Ron Johnson, producer.
Ooh, it's the scariest event of the season. Middleford Clinic, Luther Hospital, and TV18 present the Halloween River Run for the American Cancer Society, Saturday, October 31st at Owen Park. Prizes will be awarded to the fastest time runners and top pledge raisers. But remember, the Halloween River Run is a non-competitive event, so feel free to run, walk, ride a bike, or rollerblade like Igor. Please pick up your pledge sheets early. The Halloween River Run, Saturday, October 31st at Owen Park.
Our 10th category is promotional announcement. In Major Market Radio, the Best of 1992 promotional announcement award goes to WOLX-FM Madison for Elevator Promo. Angie Harris, writer. Julie Kennedy, producer.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with our tour of the WOLX Music Library, this is the D section. Are there any questions?
What is this red button?
Good question. Everybody hear that? The WOLX Music Library is state-of-the-art, and this red button is just one example A button has been installed in each of the sections of the library, and it allows you to hear just a small sample of what artists are housed in this section of the library that are played on WOLX. Go ahead, press it.
Welcome to the WOLX Music Library. You are in the D section. Here is a sample of what artists you'll hear on Oldies 94.9 FM WOLX. Neil Diamond, Dion, Doors.
Madison's largest on-air record and CD library. Oldies 94.9 FM, WOLX.
In promotional announcement, Medium Market Radio, the best of 1992 is WOFM FM Mosinee Wausau for WOFM Sweatshirt Promo. Andy Kaplan, writer, producer.
The success of the WOFM Groovin' t-shirt has been phenomenal. But with the cold weather of winter fast approaching, we ran into a problem. How to give WOFM listeners a chance to express their love of great oldies in a fashionable, warmer article of clothing. The crack WOFM creative team went to work.
Stocking caps. No. Earmuffs. No. Trench coats. No. Parkas. Long underwear. No socks. No. Come on. Sweatshirts. Sweatshirts. Groovy.
Announcing the arrival of
the new 94.7 WOFM Groovin' Sweatshirt.
The best way to show the world that you love the sound of good time oldies. Available only at Webco House of Sports, 815 South 24th Avenue in Wausau. The 94.7 WOFM Groovin' Sweatshirt. Just as cool as the t-shirt, only warmer.
In promotional announcements, Small Market Radio, the best of 1992 is WCOW-FM Sparta for Survey America, WCOW Music Machine. Jay Spangler, producer, writer, Jay and Jane Spangler and the Gary Schumacher family, voices.
And now, the nation's favorite new show, Survey America.
Thanks, Johnny. Today on Survey America, we travel to the Midwest to find out how people party. We asked a group of Wisconsinites what they would choose as entertainment for an upcoming special event.
The Music Machine.
Music Machine.
The LaCroix Water WCOW Music Machine.
I would show cartoons.
There's one in every crowd, folks. We asked the same group what they thought of the cost.
Reasonable.
Affordable.
Affordable.
$206 million zillion dollars.
And we wanted to know if our Wisconsin group knew how to get more information on the LaCroix Water Music Machine.
Call WCOW.
WCOW during business hours.
Cow Country.
I would probably mail a stamped undressed elephant.
The eyes have it. When Wisconsin parties, they party with the LaCroix Water WCOW Music Machine.
Call WCOW for more information.
In promotional announcement, Major Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WISN TV Milwaukee for I-Team Investigates. Gary Eichstad and Patrick Baldwin, writers, producers.
Covering the news is one thing. Uncovering it is another. That's what I-Team 12 is all about. I-Team 12, the investigative news team with the right stuff to bring you the whole story. Tomorrow, an I-Team 12 investigation reveals the double life of an area priest, kept secret by 20 years of silence. Could it have been stopped by the church or the government?
The answer in an I-Team special report tomorrow at 10.
The investigations continue on the Channel 12 News.
In promotional announcement, Medium Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WLUK-TV Green Bay for Affiliation Switch promo. Suzanne Grethen, producer, Randy Morrow, writer, Terry Wolfgram, editor.
Attention Northeast Wisconsin TV viewers, your TV listings are getting complicated. Channel 2 has been CBS and Channel 5 has been ABC. But now Channel 2 is ABC. Channel 5 is CBS. So 2 still has Cheers reruns, but not Murphy Brown. 5 still has The Wheel, but not Roseanne. So when you're doing the TV listings two-step, just remember, TV 11 remains your source for NBC. And such favorites as E.T., Golden Girls, and now MASH and Married with Children. You know where to find us. We're WLUK TV 11.
In promotional announcement, Small Market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WAOW-TV Wausau for Fitting in Fitness. Suzanne Miller, writer, Sharon Ryer, program and promotion manager.
Fitness.
It's important to all of us, getting into shape and staying in shape. With the winter months approaching, find out how you can stay physically fit by benefiting from an indoor exercise program. Join Newsline 9's Live at 5 in a 3-part series, Fitting in Fitness. You'll see the latest in exercise equipment from the sporting goods store to your very own cabinets. You'll also see exercises for kids to senior adults. Watch Fitting in Fitness tonight on Newsline 9, your 24-hour news source.
Our final category is commercial announcement. In major market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WISN AM Milwaukee for Bannister's Restaurant. Written, produced, and voiced by Chuck Squire.
Se llama Juan. Excuse me? My name is Juan, famous storyteller and most famous customer of Bannister's Restaurant, where I always take mi familia for authentic Mexican cuisine. Bannister's is famous for many reasons, but most famous because of the story of Pedro and the Beanstalk. You remember, Pedro trading his cow for magical beans, which he sells to Bannister's to make their authentic Mexican cuisine. So let's imagine for uno momento that the next time you and su familia eat at Bannister's, and because they serve such muy grande helpings, you take some of those magical beans home and you throw them into your backyard. And the next morning, you awake to find a big stalk growing up through the sky. But it is not a beanstalk, it is a money stalk, filled with enough money to pay your bills. You muchachos college retire, move to Hawaii, and buy a hacienda muy bonita. But let's get real. If you move to Hawaii, you would not be able to eat at Bannister's Restaurant anymore.
Every Thursday is Mexican Fiesta Night at Bannister's across from Mayfair Mall in the Sheraton Mayfair. October is Sombrero Month. Wear your sombrero or Mexican poncho to any Thursday Mexican Fiesta Night and get a free order of nachos.
In commercial announcement, medium market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WIAL-FM Eau Claire for Big Stars for the Oakwood Mall Theaters. Rich Watkins, writer, producer, talent.
Find the big stars at Oakwood Mall. Find the big stars at Oakwood Mall. Find the big stars at
Oakwood Mall Theaters.
Michael Keaton, Alex Baldwin, Schwarzenegger, Ray Liotta, Goldie Hawn, and Danny Glover, Whoopi Goldberg, Billy Crystal, Cruz, and Selig Ford, and Pfeiffer Nicholson, and Jodie Foster, Eddie Murphy, Robin Williams. Don't forget Sigourney Weaver.
Look who's at Oakwood. They're my favorite.
Wow.
They're great.
Cool. Do you see who's at Oakwood Mall Theaters?
Steve Martin, Jessica Tandy, Tony Hopkins, Andrew Canny, Chevy Chase, and Shirley Sheen, and Jack Palance, and Morgan Freeman, Michael Douglas, Al Pacino, Kevin Costner, Dan DeVito.
Oakwood Mall Theaters.
Here's what's showing.
You've heard the name, now meet the man. Jack Nicholson is Hoffa. Robin Williams is the man that makes all the toys. Eddie Murphy is a hustler and the distinguished gentleman. Whitney Houston is the body. Kevin Costner is the bodyguard. Francis Ford Coppola presents Bram Stoker's Dracula. Emilio Estevez is coach of Walt Disney's The Mighty Ducks. And Ice-T and Ice Cube star in Trespass. Call 835-7857 for showtimes. Find the big stars at Oakwood Mall Theaters, Eau Claire.
In commercial announcements, small market radio, the Best of 1992 award goes to WCOW-FM Sparta for How the Grinch Afforded Christmas. Jay Spangler, producer-writer, Jay Spangler and Steve Nelson, musicians.
All the Who's down in Whoville knew quite well that the Grinch had only a very few pennies to pinch. So for the big Christmas feast, he told himself in his mind, I'll shop County Market in Sparta. He smiled. I'll compare the bottom line.
That's how the Grinch afforded Christmas, and you can too. Come to County Market for big savings on the Big Feast. Hillshire smoked ham, $1.87 a pound. Flavorite self-basting grade A turkey, 77 cents a pound. Folgers Mountain Grown Coffee, the big 39-ounce can, just $3.77. And custom-made meat and cheese trays, only $9.99.
You're a smart one, Mr. Grinch. From the entree to the rolls, you got everything you needed without going the hole, Mr. Grinch.
Happy holidays from County Market, Highway 16 West, Sparta.
In commercial announcement, major market TV, the Best of 1992 is WITI-TV Milwaukee for Brewer Card Night. Sam Jones, producer-director.
We dubbed them Harvey's Wallbangers, and their towering home runs brought the dream of a World Series to Milwaukee. August 22nd, relive the dream. It's Championship Baseball Card Night, sponsored by TV6, Carlson Travel, and United Airlines.
The first 25,000 fans receive an anniversary card set of the 82 pennant winning Milwaukee Brewers. Come out and see the 92 Brew Crew take on the Tigers. Championship Baseball Card Night. Your chance to relive the dream.
In commercial announcement medium market TV, the best of 1992 is WLUK-TV Green Bay for Reebok Basketball for Rogan's Shoes. Mia Keys, producer-writer, John McGregor, photographer, Terry Wolfgram, editor.
Above the rim, so hang it up, Jim. Attitude, all Reebok. Reebok. Custom fit because no 2 feet are exactly alike. Pump it up at Rogan's. Black top is the top cat of the universe. You want some more? Hey, life is short. Go play outside. Rogan's.
In commercial announcement small market TV, the Best of 1992 award goes to WEAU-TV Eau Claire for F.S. Toshiba. Greg Stieg, writer, producer. Rob Friesen, videographer, editor. Scott Trotman, director.
Toshiba Electronics at FS. Hold on to your chair. Toshiba Electronics on sale now through Sunday at Rainbow Home Center Rice Lake, Ace Home Center Ladysmith, and Prales at Ace of La Crosse. And all FS locations, Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls, and Black River Falls.
Thank you for joining us for the 1992 Excellence in Broadcasting Awards. Our 1992 competition produced a record number of entries. In addition to the Best of 1992 awards presented here, WBA is pleased to honor entries from over 30 stations with special merit awards. You'll find them listed in the program being distributed to you now, and merit award winners may pick up their special plaques following this presentation. Once again, we would like to thank Miller Brewing Company for making this afternoon's program possible, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. And now a special salute to all who shared their excellence in broadcasting, and congratulations from your peers to all 1992 Excellence in Broadcasting Award winners.